Ciao a tutti e bentornati a questa seconda lezione di grammatica associata a Italian Accelerator numero 6, episodio numero 6. Io sono Manu e questo è Italy Made Easy, il canale dove potete imparare, migliorare e conquistare l'italiano. Come sapete, questa serie è parte in italiano e parte in inglese quando si tratta di spiegare, and that's why I'm going to switch to English, because my explanations, I wouldn't be able to give you the nuances and help you understand the nuances of what happens in the Italian conversation, which is up there somewhere. I wouldn't be able to really do them justice by giving you examples in English so that you can compare. But since last week, this particular series has been supported, and actually at the end of the video, I will thank anybody who's contributed to this particular series by making a contribution, a donation. But anyway, because this is happening, I thought that maybe I would ask you if you wanted my explainer lessons to also be in Italian. First of all, they would not be subtitled, so that could be a problem. And like I said, you have other opportunities to hear me speak Italian, and actually I have a bunch of surprises for Italy Made Easy I'm not going to tell you about now, but there's going to be a lot of Italian on this channel. So I'm not sure that's something that I should be doing, but if that's what you want, if you want the explainer lessons to also be in Italian, let me know. But some people might miss out on the nuances of the expressions that I'm explaining. Anyway, it's up to you. I'm here to serve you. So let's watch the first segment of the conversation with Lisa, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit about it.
Ho sempre sentito l'impulso di andare un po' controcorrente o comunque di pensare con la mia testa, perché poi diciamo che ho avuto come delle conferme su quello che pensavo quando ho letto The Secret, il segreto.
Il segreto. Yeah. Okay, so something that we explained last week was the fact that Lisa has always felt like going against the current, and then she had the confirmation on what she believed when she read The Secret. Did she read it? Did she watch it? I forgot. Here's the first expression that I would like to talk about, and it's su quello che pensavo. Ho avuto le mie conferme su quello che pensavo. This is a little tricky for some of you English speakers. I don't know about other languages, I'd have to think about it, but I'm very tired. I've had a very long day here in the office, so I don't want to switch on my multi-language brain. So let's go with English. You find it hard. Why is that? Because what we're saying in Italian is on what I was thinking. But we didn't say what. Well, that's how we're saying quello che. It's like saying on that which I thought. Whereas in English it wouldn't work like that. So if you are an intermediate or advanced speaker of Italian, you might be using the word quello, which is amazing, because of course you could say the same thing by saying su cosa pensavo, on the thing that I thought. It would work, but Italians would tend to use this other expression, which is quello che. But if you do use it, I notice that oftentimes you don't have the che, because you think, well, quello already means that. So on that, like I don't need the double word, but I think it's the same in English, on that which I thought. I know we don't say it that way often, but so I had my confirmation on what I thought, or on that which I thought, or on the thing that I was thinking. So don't do without, you have to have both, okay? You can't say ho avuto le mie conferme su quello pensavo, and you can't say ho avuto le mie conferme su che pensavo. Neither works. You have to have them together, and often you may not remember that.
Il segreto.
Il segreto. In Italia si chiama il segreto?
Ma no, The Secret sappiamo. Contrariamente a tutte le persone, vedi, io per esempio ho cominciato a studiare canto a 39-40 anni, ah, ma che devi fare?
Certo.
Ma dove vai? Sei vecchia? O comunque prima quando ballavo, c'hai un bambino? Insomma, però ho sempre cercato di seguire il mio istinto. Poi
Bene, I love this segment. It's very Lisa. So basically, we talked briefly about whether the secret was called something else in Italian, because in Italian we tend to translate everything into Italian. And she said, no, it was called the secret. The secret, obviously. And then she goes on with what she had problems with. You know, she started learning how to sing when she was 40, 41. And, you know, and everybody was saying, what are you doing? You're too old. And they did the same thing when she was dancing. You have a child, you know, what are you doing? Dancing, you shouldn't be dancing. And she just likes to think with her own mind. And that's what the segment is about. And here is the expression. Vedi, ho cominciato a studiare a 30 anni. There's a couple of things. The main thing that I want to point out, many of you probably already know, it's that vedi. So vedi means you see. It's the present tense of vedere. And it's the same as English, you see. Okay, so it's that filler in a certain way that you can use in conversation. Another one would be senti, but that means hear or listen. So it is used mostly when you want to get somebody's attention to what you're saying. Listen, what are you doing tonight? So, senti, che fai stasera? It's a bit different. This vedi is like saying, you see, I like to dance, and, you know, it's that kind of, it's pretty much the equivalent of you see, really, like, but you can use it too. Ho cominciato, I started, a studiare. If you're wondering why a, this has come up so many times in Italian Accelerator, but I'll say it again. It's because cominciare uses the preposition a. There's no logical reason why a should be there. It's because cominciare wants a. Just like in English, to listen wants to. There's no logical reason, it's just there, okay? And a 39 anni means at 39, obviously.
Poi leggendo The Secret ho capito come realizzare i miei sogni e che poi ho realizzato, e li ho realizzati quasi tutti, sì, devo dire, sì.
It is by reading The Secret that she understood how to materialize or realize her dreams, and she's realized pretty much most of them, and she's very lucky for that. So, poi, leggendo The Secret. Poi, then, leggendo. This is a gerund in Italian. It's the equivalent of an ing verb in English. Leggendo il segreto, by reading the secret. So, whenever in English you would say by doing something, then you can use the gerund in Italian. So, for example, by studying, you can become a lawyer. Studiando, puoi diventare avvocato. So, whenever you're thinking by and the ing verb in English, then the Italian ing equivalent works. In other cases, it doesn't. For example, in English, you might say studying is important. Well, here you cannot use a gerund in Italian because your studying is important in English. Studying is the subject of the sentence. Studying is. So basically, that studying is a noun. It's like saying, you know, pizza is important, studying is important, same thing. In that case, the Italian would use the infinitive. So we'd say studiare è importante. We would never say studiando è importante. So you can use the gerund, the ando or endo verb in Italian, when in English you're thinking by doing something. So it's by studying, by eating, and so on, okay?
Che va molto bene, infatti sono felice.
Sì,
posso dire di essere felice, forse
sì.
Non so quanta gente lo può dire.
Io. 2 persone felici, yeah! Però sì, no, per questo andiamo d'accordo, perché comunque abbiamo una filosofia di vita molto simile, no?
Sì.
So Lisa has realized most of her dreams, and, you know, not many people can say that, and she's very happy, and I said, well, I can say that too. You know, we kind of high five. In Italian, I don't know if people are still doing it in Italy, but the expression is dammi il 5, give me 5. So dammi il 5. But that's, I don't know, it's very 80s. I don't know if people are still saying it. I mean, I'm still doing it. I don't know if they're saying it. So yes, we high five, and then I say, oh, well, two happy people, that's amazing. Per questo andiamo d'accordo. Two things. Andiamo d'accordo is the expression we get along. So andare d'accordo is to get along, literally is to go in agreement. So we go in agreement, so it means we get along, okay? So that's, you can use the verb andare, conjugate it in whichever way you need, and then, you know, if you want to say that you get along with somebody, then you would say vado d'accordo con Lisa. Vado d'accordo con Lisa. I get along with Lisa. Or Lisa. In English it's s, in Italian it's z. I always forget. Sometimes you hear me say Lisa in Italian, it's not right. It's Lisa. In Italian, s between vowels vibrates into z. So Lisa, that's her name in Italian, but Lisa in English. Anyway, but the other thing that I wanted to point out is that per questo, it literally is for this we get along. So it's for this reason. And we use it a lot, and I encourage you to use it too, because it's for this that I'm doing that. It's, you know, I love Italy, and for this, I'm studying Italian. You said that in English? I'm sorry, my brain is a bit fried right now. I don't know how accurate my English is. You know, for example, ti voglio bene e per questo ti porto in vacanza con me. Like, I love you, and for this, I take you on holiday with me, or something like that. Okay. So per questo, it's like saying for this or for this reason, and we just say per questo, works similar to English, not very difficult.
Secondo me il problema è che tu puoi chiunque può cominciare a essere felice quando lo decide. Dice, ma come lo decidi? Sì.
Sì, lo devi decidere.
Senza motivo, felici senza motivo. Ho letto anche un libro, no?
Si chiama così?
Sì, si chiama così.
È bello. You know, anybody can start being happy. All you have to do is decide it. So what do you mean decide it? Yeah, just decide it and do it. I've even read a book about it. So here's a few expressions. They're all pretty good. Chiunque può cominciare ad essere felice. Chiunque is the Italian equivalent of anybody. Okay? So no matter who. Okay? So anybody can learn. Okay, sorry, anybody can start. Here's the a again. The a that you see as ad essere. The ad is just a nicer way of saying a, because essere, the following word, also starts with a vowel. So it's nicer to say ad essere than it is to say a essere, because you got two vowels and it sounds a little bit ugly. But the ad is a. Why? It's because of cominciare, no other reason. But so anybody can start to be happy. Okay. Now in English, going back to the gerund, in English you can say anybody can start being happy. In Italian you cannot do that. After a verb you want another verb. Okay. The only exception would be when you use the construction stare plus the ing Italian, like sto mangiando, sto bevendo. That it's our way of saying I'm eating and I'm drinking. But whenever you have a verb, you follow it by another verb, like another infinitive. When you have this kind of situation, we don't use the ing equivalent of the gerund. We don't say mi piace mangiando, we say mi piace mangiare for I like to eat. So don't put a gerund there, ever. But that's not the point. What I'm talking about is chiunque. Chiunque, two things. It's conjugated with the verb in the third person, can. That può means can for he or she. Why? Because chiunque, like in English, is a third person singular. Anybody eats. Anybody knows. So, okay, it's third person in English, it's third person in Italian. Chiunque può cominciare. Here's another thing. If you didn't know the word, use it. It's very straightforward. It's chiunque parla italiano deve andare in Italia. Okay. Anybody who speaks Italian has to go to Italy. Something like that. So it's really, really straightforward. In English, you don't say anybody doesn't eat pizza, because anybody doesn't work with the negative, right? So you have to say nobody eats pizza, right? So in Italian, we would do the same. We would replace that chiunque with the word nessuno. So, nessuno, just going with the same sentence, nessuno può cominciare ad essere felice. Of course, this, I don't agree with this statement, obviously, but, so I just made, sorry, that's not cominciare. Cominciare, yeah. You know, but, so nessuno, if it's the subject of your sentence, it will take a positive verb. You don't need the negative verb. I know it's confusing because in other contexts we tell you that you need the negative verb for nessuno. I'll cover that as well since I'm here, you know, and then we'll close this lesson. Mostly because I'm very tired, but probably you're very tired too. So, nessuno parla cinese. Qui. Nobody speaks Chinese here because we don't know it, okay? So, nessuno parla. You'd have nessuno, which means nobody, and then you have the verb in the third person, like you do in English. So when does nessuno want a negative verb? When nessuno is the object of the verb. So for example, if I would say, I don't know anybody, then in Italian is non conosco nessuno. It's because the subject is io. Io non conosco, I don't know. Nessuno, which is nobody. So I don't know nobody. And I love when I teach younger students, they just love it when I give them permission to use double negatives in Italian, because they're always told that they can't do it in English, right? So I don't know nobody, okay? But yeah, in proper English, I don't know anybody. But you know, nobody and anybody is the same word in Italian. It's nessuno anyway. So that's when nessuno wants a negative verb, but basically the negative verb is for the subject of the verb, not for nessuno, really. So, but in the case that we were dealing with, it doesn't even apply, because we're looking at this, which is chiunque può cominciare ad essere felice, or nessuno può cominciare ad essere felice. So, that's it. 2 words that you might want to start using. Perfetto, ragazzi. È stata un'altra lezione lunga forse per voi, anche per me. Spero che abbiate imparato molte espressioni e abbiate capito un po' di più delle espressioni usate da me e Lisa. Un'altra cosa, if you do want to support this series, the donation is always open. You'll find it in the description, in the description below. There's a link that will take you to a donation page. You can do whatever you want. There's a bunch of options. They're all very welcome and very grateful. I'm grateful, but also the viewers of Italian Accelerator are grateful, because not everybody can contribute. It's YouTube, so it's a free platform, but if you can contribute, then you will make a difference to the people who need this kind of series. Anyway, grazie mille, ci vediamo la settimana prossima. Ciao ciao, buonanotte.